Warning, spoilers lie ahead for The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. The cult classic thriller The Hand That Rocks the Cradle has been reimagined for a modern audience and ends in a more thought-provoking way than the original. Led by Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Micah Monroe, the film centers on lawyer Caitlin Morales, who, after giving birth to her second child, welcomes struggling childcare worker Polly Murphy into her home as a new sitter, not knowing of her plans to disrupt her harmonic family. After initially succeeding in making Caitlin look like a danger to the family, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle ending sees the protagonist finally learn the truth about Polly, with her father having abused Caitlin when she was younger. Having failed to convince anyone, he was burned alive by Winstead's character, which also resulted in the deaths of Polly's whole family. Following a fight in which Caitlin was stabbed but briefly subdued Polly, she attempted to flee in her car with her infant daughter, with Polly attacking the windshield and dying after they crashed into a car speeding through the neighborhood. Prior to the movie's release, Joe Deckelmeyer interviewed Micah Monroe, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Malaya Vega to discuss The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. When asked about the movie's ending, which really blurs the lines between victim and villain, Winstead expressed that the climax is not triumphant at all, for either Caitlin or Polly, something that she came to really love about the ending. For her character specifically, Winstead denoted that much of Caitlin's life had seen so much of her trauma pushed down and repressed, and was purposefully trying to move on from it without really healing. As such, the personality we follow throughout the remake is a whole new person rather than the real Caitlin from when she was a child, even though it's impossible to run away from something like that. In the film, the relationship with Polly was an activator to make everything explode, but by the end, Caitlin has to be her true self. She has nothing left but her true self, and in a way, there's a relief in that. There's a big sadness that it ended the way that it did, though. Despite the movie ending with Caitlin successfully escaping and killing Polly, Winstead doesn't see it as this triumphant ending of getting the bad guy in the end. Instead, she feels there is relief in that. At least now, Caitlin gets to just be who she is, thinking this could lead to more happiness for her down the road. From Monroe's side of things, she felt, it was the most important thing for me to really love this character in order to let Polly be more than a straightforward villain in the film. This not only opened the door for the star to understand her, but also to have no judgment in her actions and motivations, and expressed her hopes that people will have sympathy for her and will potentially come away with a tiny bit of understanding of where her anger comes from. I had to play the role, but so much of it was on the page already. Director Michelle Garza-Severo and I had so many conversations about her childhood, breaking down what that trauma manifests into. Screen rant. First of all, amazing job on The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. This story takes a familiar 90s thriller and filters it through something really grounded and psychological. How did each of you connect with the idea that fear sometimes lives in the perfect home? Micah Monroe. I love the horror genre, and the scariest movies to me don't need to have blood or be gross. It's the things that feel believable, the things I'm thinking about when I go to sleep at night. That's why I feel like this movie is really so grounded, and that's what makes it really haunting and disturbing. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Yeah, exactly. You get so invested in the characters, and they feel so real. We were trying to create was this feeling of connection, to make these people feel real, so that you can feel their fear and their anxiety, and you can relate to that and kind of go on that terrifying journey. Screen rant. Mary, Caitlin is this high-functioning modern woman, holding everything together on the surface, but underneath she's carrying all this pressure and pain. How did you and Michelle Garza-Severo work together to peel back those layers and make her feel more than just a cliché?